All right, we just witnessed a weekend of insanity in college football. And yeah, it might be challenging to put everything that we saw into words, but we on Fourth and Goal do not run from challenges. We embrace challenges every single time. I mean, unless the challenge is feeding stats and info, then, It was in the biggest game of the year, the biggest moment of the season thus far, that the mighty Georgia Bulldogs somehow found themselves down 30-7 at halftime. Unfortunately, Kirby Smart's team forgot to make the score 28-3 in order to ensure that their comeback would be successful. Two clutch plays by Alabama players, both wearing the number 2, sent the Bulldogs packing in a final score of 41-34. We don't know where Alabama found the ability to hold Georgia to only 80 yards rushing, or to hit the intermediate pass and short passes to tight ends. However, this dangerous new-look offense for the Crimson Tide has them positioned in the prime spot to get a first-round bye in the playoff by winning the SEC title. For the Georgia Bulldogs, having to go for it on 4th down 6 times and only running pass plays does not inspire much confidence in the team as they head into the meat of their schedule, which consists of 2 very dangerous games against Tennessee and Texas. But wait, aren't they playing Ole Miss too? Well, about that. For the first 4 weeks of the season, the Ole Miss Rebels looked like absolute world beaters, running up the score on whomever they chose and playing defense at a level that they had not seen in several years. This weekend was their first time playing an opponent with an actual pulse, and unfortunately, an opponent with somewhat of a pulse was too much for the Rebels to handle, as they fell in their own building to the Kentucky Wildcats. While we on Fourth and Goal would love to blame defensive coordinator Pete Golding for this loss, the real culprit behind this stunning upset would be Ole Miss's offensive line, which only helped their running backs average 3.2 yards per rush while also giving up 4 sacks and 7 tackles for loss. If you'll remember, we made a comment about Ole Miss last week that may have garnered us some hate, so I'm just going to play it for you guys real quick so that you can, hear the facts.
Look, when the Rebels start going for it on every 4th down, the drop-off is going to be insane.
The crazy thing about this game is that Ole Miss didn't even go for it on 4th down a bunch of times. They only went for it twice. They got it both times, and even that wasn't enough to win. So who knows what South Carolina and LSU is about to do to that poor team. Yeah, that's right. I said South Carolina. You didn't forget about South Carolina after they should have beaten LSU, did you? That's right, Ole Miss heads to Williams-Brice Stadium to take on South Carolina this weekend. After Ole Miss's loss to Kentucky and South Carolina's near upset of LSU, this game, which once looked like an easy win for the Rebels, has now become total uncertainty. Ole Miss's aforementioned underperforming offensive line will be put to the test this Saturday as they face a vicious South Carolina defensive line that has excelled in rushing the passer. Ole Miss's ability to keep Jackson Dart on his feet and give him time to pass the ball will be critical in ensuring that Lane Kiffin is still in consideration for the Florida job after this Saturday. Questions surround South Carolina's offense for this weekend, as quarterback Lenora Sellers and running back Rocket Sanders are currently dealing with injuries. South Carolina's ability to run the ball will dictate whether or not they will win on Saturday, and getting both of those guys back healthy will be of utmost importance for the team. The Vegas line for this game opened at about 10 points, and our Fourth and Goal model sees it very similarly, making Ole Miss nearly a 12-point favorite heading into this matchup. On Fourth and Goal, we are currently 1-2 when picking against the model this year, but we think we're about to make it 2-2. We are picking South Carolina to pull the upset over Ole Miss and destroy the Rebels' hopes of making the playoffs this year. Did you guys know that SMU blew out Florida State 42-16 last week? I know, it's the funniest thing. It happened, and before the season, that would have been something, but no one cares because Florida State's so bad. It's hilarious. You want to know another funny thing? SMU is going to Louisville in a game which may determine one of the 2 spots in the ACC title game. College football, man. Can't explain it. As we mentioned earlier, SMU is coming off of an impressive win against Florida State, in which they did things to that team that is probably illegal in 38 states. Louisville, meanwhile, is coming off a game against Notre Dame in which they should have won. They outrushed Notre Dame. They were better on 3rd down, but they had too many turnovers. Really frustrating thing to watch, especially for us when we picked Louisville and the model picked Louisville. Okay. Stats and info, be quiet about the model being self-aware, okay? That's nonsense. It doesn't have a mind of its own, okay? Please shut up. Oh my gosh. We understand that most of you are probably frustrated with us for not going over the Miami-Cal game. You guys are probably thinking, what? Miami almost lost to Virginia Tech. Should have lost to Virginia Tech. Cal's pretty good. Miami could lose. College game day is going. Look, Cal lost to Florida State. Okay, that is Florida State's only win. Miami's going to win that game. Plus, the 4th and goal model actually has the SMU-Louisville game as the higher rated game, since both these teams are in the model's top 25 power ratings. The 4th and goal model expects this game to be a real nail-biter, picking Louisville to win at home by only 5 points. We're going to side with the model on this one. We think Louisville is going to learn their mistakes from last week, and they are going to improve drastically this week and roll into this game ready to take care of business. The Deep South's oldest rivalry takes place this weekend as the Auburn Tigers head to Athens to take on the Georgia Bulldogs. Both of these teams are coming off of critical losses, where Auburn actually had a lead against a Power 5 opponent in the 4th quarter, then threw a pick 6 because that's what Auburn does. And the Bulldogs, of course, they were down by so many, they made a comeback just to blow it in like 13 seconds. Heartbreaking, brutal stuff. Alabama should be ashamed of themselves for giving Georgia fans hope. How these two teams respond to such losses will be critical in determining the outcome of this game. At least that's what, normal human thought processing would tell you. The model is telling us something completely different, expecting this to not be a game at all. It's picking Georgia to win by 105 points. Stats and info, how come the model is picking such a wide margin of victory considering there is so much uncertainty surrounding these two teams right now?
Well, hi again, everyone. If you guys are wondering why I'm a little dark in here, the model went, I think, 2-2 in its predictions, and according to my contract, that means that they shut off the lights until I'm able to get the model predicting games a little better. So, fair is fair. So I'm gonna try to see as best as I can here. So, yeah, Auburn is one of those teams that the model just really hates. Kind of similar to Oklahoma State. We mentioned that this past week. Model really don't like Oklahoma State. It hates Auburn even worse. It doesn't like their color scheme. It doesn't like some of the ambiguity with what their mascot is. Is it a tiger? Is it an eagle? Is it a plainsman? It thinks that their fight song is like a depressed circus tune. So the model is not a big fan of Auburn, and while that may seem a little extreme, you gotta give the model credit. It foresaw that Auburn was going to be absolutely atrocious this year. I mean, everyone was thinking that Auburn was probably going to beat Oklahoma, but the model knew better. It knew that Auburn would somehow snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. And I don't expect the same thing to happen this week. I think Georgia's just gonna it's gonna be like a dump truck running over a piece of litter on the road. It runs it over, flattens it, and then it backs over it again, flattens it some more, runs it over again, and backs over it 2 or 3 more times for good measure. That's about what you should expect from this game here. Don't expect a competitive game here. Expect a lot of turnovers from Auburn, and expect Georgia players to play like they've been facing some severe discipline in workout sessions for the past week, because that's probably what they have been going through.
So while that may be all the college football we have to talk about today, we'd like to take a moment to talk about our not sponsor, Dr. Pepper. There are very few things that are as synonymous with the best sport on earth, college football, as Dr. Pepper. If your team has a great game, you won a big rivalry game, now you're in the lead for your conference title game, you drink a Dr. Pepper to celebrate. If you've had a bad loss, you were down by multiple scores at halftime, then you made an incredible comeback, only to blow it in the final seconds and not have the lead for more than 13 seconds, you drink a Dr. Pepper to cope with the sorrow. I won't go as far as to say it will solve your problems, but it'll help at least a little bit. This is the drink of the sport, the drink of college football. Really, come on. It's part of the sport at this point. We don't deserve this soda because it's so great. Well, I mean, I do because I love it so much, and I give it free promotions on my show because they don't pay me. But I'm still telling you about it because I love it so much, and I think that everybody should try it at least once in their lifetime. So when having a drink this good, there really isn't much more we can ask for. Except a sponsorship. Dr. Pepper, please sponsor us. This is getting to like toxic relationship level at this point. Please sponsor us.